Hey there. My next guest is a business consultant for a fairly large consulting firm out of Rome. And he's here, he's talking about, what it was like getting into this consulting firm, but also what it's like trying to push esports into essentially the old school world of business and where they don't quite see the opportunity, but he does. And the younger generation is seeing it. The money is there and all the numbers are there. And what it's like trying to get that into the more mainstream. So I know you all are going to love this one. Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Gamerpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today, I have a very special guest. I have Alessandro Lidano Leonelli.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Good evening.
How's it going, Alex?
Well, yeah, it's going fine. It's going fine. Thank you, Bradford, for this great opportunity. It's so nice to meet you over here. And yeah, let's get started.
Absolutely. Now, where is over here for you?
What, sorry?
Where is over here for you? Where are you located?
Oh, over here for me. Yeah, I'm from Rome right now. I'm from Italy, Rome. Rome is the capital city over here, so I'm quite far from you. And it's about 6 p.m. over here. And yeah, so thank you.
Absolutely beautiful. Okay, so Alex, I like to get this show started just getting right into it. So why don't we begin by you just telling us a little bit about yourself, please?
Yeah, obviously. I'm 27 years old. I work and live in Rome. I have studied engineering as my master's degree. And right now I'm employed as a senior consultant in EY, which is a multinational consulting firm, business consulting actually. And I've been a gamer since I was about 12 years old. And I'm really passionate about it. And so here we are.
Beautiful. Okay, now before we get into you being a gamer or what you do for a living, I start every interview with a single question. So I'm going to ask you like I ask everybody else. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, how weird are you, Alex?
Well, I'd give myself a fair 6, if not 7, but 6, I guess, just about.
Why would you say that?
Well, because I'm really, compared to all my colleagues and to all my other people, always with strange ideas. I wanna do things that come into my mind, entrepreneurial ideas that I try to implement, always with something that's on my mind, and really kind of creative in a certain sense. That I think that would be my weirdest trait, actually.
Okay, interesting. Beautiful. Okay, so this is the Gamerpreneur podcast. So I do need your gaming cred. You said you started playing when you were 12. What got you into playing?
Well, actually was a friend of mine, which is still a friend of mine since we are like 1 year old or so, that got me into playing some casual games. Actually was some real-time strategy game, but which I can't remember really the name of that game. But what really got me into the gaming as a form of entertainment was definitely World of Warcraft when I was about 14 years old. And that was the game I fell in love with, and that kept me going for many years.
I understand. I actually just picked up the new expansion that came out this past week.
Yeah, I'm still missing on that one because since when I got to EY, actually as a business consultant, my time to play has been so few, and actually it's a shame I'm not playing on Shadowlands yet, but I swear I'm gonna fix that.
Well, when you come back, you let me know, and we can be friends and go together.
Absolutely. I won't miss the chance. Absolutely.
All right. So you don't have time to play Warcraft, or do you have any time to play any games today?
Well, actually, the game I'm used to play during these days as a business consultant is mainly League of Legends, even if I'm not that good at it, I have to admit. But the the reason I'm not playing WoW anymore is because for me to play WoW and not be able to commit as much as I should, it's really something I cannot really explain, because you have so many things to do to carry on, but you just don't have the time. So I'd rather enjoy some more casual approach with random games one after the other, as a MOBA can offer to me. So right now I'm playing League of Legends. I've tried out some Fortnite, but wasn't my thing at all. I'm not really into first-person shooters in general, honestly. So yeah, I guess League of Legends just fine.
Beautiful. There's nothing wrong with admitting you don't have the time. I wasn't able to play video games for at least a full 3 years when I was an attorney. There just wasn't the time. I get it. Okay,
Yeah.
beautiful. I love a fellow Warcrafter. Hoarder Alliance.
Horde. Horde, absolutely. I'm sorry, but that's a hard matter. I would never be able to cross the line and get into the alliance field, unfortunately. Tavern Warrior, Protection Warrior, actually, for the Horde, yeah.
Oh, love it. All right. Let's talk about what you're doing for a living on the preneur side of things. Can you kind of give me a little bit about your professional background? How did you end up where you're at today?
Well, actually, my current work is not really about what I studied at university. At university, I was mainly focused on industrial engineering, so more about operations, chemistry, sometimes, material science, and all those things, real nerdy. As I got my master's degree, I got into this business consulting firm, which actually is a big group of thousands of people, mainly with a bachelor or master degree in business and economics. So slightly different background for me. And what we do is mainly business plan activities for companies that are willing to launch new products on the market, new services, rather than some form of projects to brings more efficiency into their processes, business process analysis, and all these kind of things that company actually needs. So, my company in general is a real big firm. So we have law services, we have transaction services, we have financial services, we have really marketing services as well. But from my point of view, I'm just a little bit more focused on the strategy segment. So whenever a company has an issue or is wondering about how their future can look like, in a certain sense, they call us to help them shape what can be their next 3 or 5 year strategy to business.
Very interesting. Okay, Alex, how did you end up in this position? Like you said, you didn't go to school for this. How did you end up working for this firm?
Well, because as I said in the very beginning of the interview, I always with strange ideas in my mind, right? So I like to be employed in a job position in which I can be creative, in which I can think about the future. When a company comes to us and asks us, "What do you think will happen? How do we behave if this trend actually runs up?" They're all skills that require you to be able to be creative, to think a little bit out of the box, right? So even though I started more technical things before, which I was also passionate about, my real soul, in a certain sense, is more of an entrepreneurial, creative soul. And as a consultant, I can feed this hunger for being creative and stuff like that. So actually, it pretty much fits my personality in the end.
Okay. And is there a particular segment or industry that you focus on more than any other?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm currently employed in the media industry. I'm working for the Italian public service broadcaster, and they're asking us to design their next 3 year strategy. And generally, I'm employed with television companies or things like that. So more about media and telecommunication clients, and which is actually what brought me also to try and develop the video game and esport industry into my company.
Okay.
Because yeah.
I was going to say, was that a difficult task in order to get your company to start looking more at esports?
Incredibly difficult. Incredibly difficult. I mean, there is a cultural divide that really, I mean, I'm sure you really know well about it, that really is so hard to overcome. I mean, when I'm talking to my bosses, to my partners, to decision makers in my company, they're all people that is aged between 45 and 60 years old. And they just look at video games and esports like something their son or their daughter plays at home, just as a random form of entertainment, which is completely far from business. It's not something business related at all. So there's this huge misconception about what the potential of the video game industry can be, that actually required me to really insist and be really, really determined to bring this to my company.
Beautiful. Okay, so you're looking at esports and you're trying to convince this large consulting firm to spend more attention on it. Is it because like is esports actually a big deal? Like, is it like I'm in the esports world, right? I deal with a lot of people in the esports world. They all talk about it. There's lots of money coming in, but is it really that big of a deal?
Yeah, I really think it is because if you get into a future perspective, it's going to involve more and more people as the time goes by. And it's going to be the way big companies will engage with millennials, with Generation Z and the generations to come. It's really privileged channel to get in touch with that audience that's not on traditional media, that doesn't look at TV, that is on social network, but not all of them. And with esports, you can really get in touch with them, and you can really find ways to engage them that are a lot more emotionally engaging compared to a TV commercial. So you can get people cheer for your team if you are a McDonald's or a company like that, which is really, really a new thing. Actually, big firms are looking to. And if I can say, it's not just about esports. It's about the video game industry more in general, because esports is the media phenomenon in that sense. The real money, as we all know, is regards the video games industry from a much broader point of view, right? So also companies are looking for ways to engage with audience during their video game experience when they are at home, when they're casual gaming, not just when they're looking at the esports event. So it's really a lot complicated, and for decision makers in big firms, this is becoming more clear and more clearer and clearer as the time goes by.
Okay, fantastic. So, this is so interesting to me because like I'm a business coach and consultant myself. Like I love this particular field, and it's so underrepresented at the moment. So you are like on the forefront of what is going on in the world right now in esports and on the consulting side. What are the major issues that you're seeing?
The major issues that I'm seeing is that people asked me to my firm, how do I make money with it? So big investors are curious about the market. They see the potential, but they don't really see how they can really embrace the wave and make profit out of it. So they're always there. Maybe I can, organize tournaments. Maybe I can sponsor a team. But how do I actually evaluate the return on investment on that? Because I have a marketing return, which is hard to understand from a financial point of view, because it's just an image, brand reputation point of view. So I really feel like people is approaching in the wrong way the esports in video game industry, especially when they are expecting to make huge profits at the very beginning. Nothing comes easy in a certain sense, and there's no difference for the video game or esports industry. You need to have the right strategy, and you need to understand that it takes time. So big firm, when they look at esports are trying to find a way in which they can make money quick with that. But I don't think that's going to come in the very next months or year. It's a growing industry where maybe a lot of companies are still in the death valley. So you need to invest with a long-term perspective, in a certain sense, for me, at least from my point of view. And long-term perspective is something very rare to find, even in big multinational firms. So, but if they don't adopt that point of view, if they don't make that point of view their point of view, they're gonna wake up one day and realize they missed out on something. So that's the main difficulty for me, because I need to make them understand that even if they're not profitable in the very next month, even if the payback period is a little long, they're still going to be paid back. And they see a lot of uncertainty, and they're scared from that.
Absolutely.
They're scared to make risky decisions, and it's fine. Obviously, it's fine. It's human. But yeah, that's one of the main difficulties.
I 100% agree with you. That's the main issue I'm seeing as well. Now, Alex, I'd like to talk about you a little more personally if we can. So you mentioned
Wonderful.
before that your kind of special power is that you think outside the box. You think a little different than everybody
I try
else.
to, yeah.
But other than thinking differently, what makes you special?
Well, what makes me special is that I try to combine this with. I try to do my best. Obviously, that's just my goal. I try to be determined as much as I can. I've been pursuing this goal of esports and video game industry as a consulting sector that our company could get into since a year and a half. I've been shouting in my company for a year and a half that this can be an opportunity. And, sometimes it's really frustrating because it's like pointing out at something that it's there and it's clear for you, and people that are just beside you just can't see that. So it's like you have a sort of vision of something, of how it could be in the next future, and you're trying to communicate maybe in the wrong way. I mean, I'm not perfect, obviously. I mean, I do a lot of mistakes, but you try really to persuade, in a certain sense, all your bosses and everything else, everyone else. But it's really difficult. So when you have a good idea, in a certain sense, you also need to combine that idea with a really strong spirit. You need to be conscious that it's not going to be easy, and you need to have the determination to go through all that, to people that says it's not going to work, to the first failures, and you need to understand that it's going to happen usually. So it's not just enough to be creative; you also need to be determined, because it's not going to be easy. And I'll try to be that.
Wonderful. Okay, so my next question is that you started with an engineering background, but now you're in this business consulting firm. And part of the purpose of my show is that I want people who are watching you, maybe somebody out there is like, that sounds fantastic. I would love to be able to do that. I don't quite know how. What resources did you turn to in order to learn the business side of things?
Well, my resources, to combine my work with my passion. My job actually requires a lot of good analytical skills. From my engineering perspective, what helped me to build my credibility in my working group was that I was actually performing well. So you need to be committed to your work. I mean, if you ever join a consulting firm, there's gonna be lots of work to do. You need to be able to get all that working load on your shoulders and bring that to success. So you really, if you want success in consulting, you really need to be able to undergo a lot of stress, a lot of work, and it's gonna pay back. So that's a short skill I'm willing to communicate to all those people that are wondering they ever gonna be in consulting. Get ready, because it's gonna be tough in a certain sense, but it's gonna be rewarding. If you can get through that, it's gonna be rewarding I'm sure. So this is the first thing. So the other thing, maybe always try to bring your passion in what you do. Because if I will ever be able to actually bring my company, and I'm being successful with that, my colleagues are helping me with that, to invest in video game industry, to invest into esports as a consulting firm, is because people around me have seen and have perceived a sort of passion that I had put inside. So they need to see you convinced. You need to look like you really believe in what you do, and you better do actually. I mean, you need to believe in what you do. I know this is maybe something general. Everybody says that, but everybody says that because it's true. You need to believe in what you do. So that's an important and fundamental asset if you want to get to success.
Fantastic. Okay, and now about how long have you been with the firm?
I've been with the firm for 3 years right now,
Okay,
around 3 years.
3 years. Now, if you could go back in time and you could talk to little Alex, 3 years ago, and you're like, hey, little Alex, here's everything that's going to happen to you over the next 3 years. But here's the one thing you absolutely need to know. What is that one thing?
That was not going to be easy, because as I approached, I mean, really, as I approached my working and job experience, I thought everything would have been so much more flawless, so much more smooth in a certain sense, right? I thought, I mean, I'm gonna work a lot and I'm gonna be paid back. I'm gonna say this and this is gonna happen. It's not linear. People doesn't behave in a linear way. You need to understand that. I mean, I had a lot of expectations, and I actually managed to reach those expectations, but it was a lot harder than I thought. So I would get myself a little bit more ready before starting. I mean, I wouldn't say you should have done this course, you should have deepened these skills, because with some English language knowledge and some mathematical analytical skills, that I acquired from my engineering background. I mean, I was just fine to get into consulting. You don't need anything else. Business degree, it's even better. So there's not this secret ingredient you need to get to access to business consulting. But you need to understand that you need to compromise. I don't know if I'm expressing myself correctly, but you need to come to compromise a lot more. Maybe, when I was younger, I thought that everything was more straight away. You do this and this is going to happen. This connection sometimes can be really hard to reach, even for simple things. So be prepared, because human beings sometimes are not as straight as you can imagine.
Absolutely. All right. And do you have any advice for somebody else who might want to be following in your footsteps, become a business consultant?
Well, yeah. As I said, being a business consultant can be extremely rewarding. And my personal suggestion is to get in love with what you do. Apart from business consulting has nothing really special compared to any other, intellectual work you can come to do. Even if I was working in law or in another sector which is not really business related, even if I was in marketing, I mean, success from a professional point of view, from my point of view, obviously, need to fall in love with what you do, even if it was something that someone had signed to you to do. It wasn't your idea. You just need to get to do this. You need to see yourself in the final product of your work. You need to really do something, and when it comes out, you need to be proud of that. Even if it was just a market analysis, even if you're not creating any statue or painting or a piece of art, but you need to look at that and see, that's me. I did that. And be ready to defend what you've done, because you've done it with good criteria. You've put some rationale into that. Don't just do things because someone asked you to. Do them because you really want to do them. That's my message, because that's a path to success for me. Because everything will come easier. Because what you do, it's part of yourself in a certain sense, right? So it's really easy to deal with that.
Beautiful. All right. That's fantastic. I love that attitude. And you're 27, you're working for a huge consulting firm. You have had such amazing success in your life. But at this part of the show, I don't want the people listening to go, oh, he can do no wrong. He's completely flawless. I would like to humble you if
No,
possible. So
absolutely,
I believe that we learn the most in our life from our failures, not necessarily our
absolutely.
successes.
I got some huge ones.
When you get smacked in your face, knocked down, you have to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and figure out how to move
Yeah,
forward. So I'd like to
yeah,
ask
absolutely.
you, Alex, what do you consider your biggest failure in life, and what did you
My
learn from it?
biggest failure, yeah, I have the answer ready, because actually I had many. I mean, I'm not a perfect man at all, actually. So my biggest failure came just before my working experience. As I told you at the very beginning, I always have this sort of strange ideas that come into my mind and try to bring to reality. And one of them actually brought me to my biggest failure in a certain sense. Uh, I had a business idea that I wanted to become an entrepreneur. And I had the idea to build a cocktail machine, a countertop cocktail machine, right? So I started this journey when I was actually 22 or something like that. It was 2015. It took me 2 years, and actually so much effort. I mean, I really cannot explain how to build that prototype of that cocktail machine. Was really something incredible. I would never imagine, as I started that journey, that it would have been so hard. As I said before, if I could go back when I started doing things, the only thing I would advise myself is no, it's going to be harder, because it's going to be. I tried to build this prototype, and I tried to go and crowdfund this idea. So I was all excited. I used all the money I had. I was the classical garage kid that got his idea, realized the prototype in the garage, and then tried to face the market and try to get some feedback. Do you like this idea? I had no money anymore, but the crowdfunding campaign didn't go as I wanted. I mean, I had a goal to reach a certain hundred of thousand euros or dollars to finance my idea and start mass production and get into the market. But actually, just managed to get some tens of thousands, and it was a big failure. Because I realized in the end that all those 2 years and a half and all my money basically was put on nothing, because I had to refuse the money I received, because just wasn't enough. I couldn't make anything out of the money I received. So I gave it back to the owners, and I got into consulting. So no money left, just something in my mind, and free of all that experience. And the prototype is still in my garage. It's waiting over there to remind me how hard it is to get things done from scratch. It's really, really hard. And that's why I became a consultant, because I'm not an entrepreneur myself. I try to make decisions with others people's money, rather than my money right now. So, because I don't have that anymore. So it's fine, but it taught me a lot.
All right. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. And it's never too late unless somebody else came out with the idea. You can always fund it now.
Obviously.
And now you have the knowledge and know how to do it.
Yeah, obviously, they always have time.
All right. Kind of a related question. What is something that you're working on improving in yourself today?
Yeah, I'm trying to work on my empathy, if that's the right word in English.
Yes.
Because as I grow in my profession, I always need to be better and better at managing people. And managing people requires a lot of empathy, not stressing your colleagues too much, trying to give everybody the right workload, understand that they're having difficulties, not make them feel like they're not part of the group, try to involve everybody in the decision-making process. It's really something that defines a good leadership and a good leader. So in order to become a point of, a sort of example for the people that actually helps me realizing my projects at EY, I'm really trying to work on empathy, trying to understand what's in their mind, trying to understand their feelings, and not make anybody feels like they're count out. So yeah, that's a skill I really need because I'm an engineer. I'm an engineer nerd. So sometimes I'm not that good at dealing with people, and sometimes I'm too rough. Maybe I criticize too much. All those things that makes people feel a little bit scared, or like they did not a good work. Well, maybe it was just some minor mistakes that I amplified too much. So that's something I'm trying to improve on.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Alex, this has been a fantastic interview. How do people find you? Where are you at on social media?
Well, they can find me on social media, basically on Instagram. As I told you at the very beginning, maybe actually I would revise my weird range at 7 because I don't have many social media. It's a little bit weirder than I thought. They can find me on Instagram at Alessandro Lidano Leonelli. Actually, if I were to spell my nickname, it's LID_SED_LEO. So it's a strange name, I know that. Otherwise, on LinkedIn, obviously, I don't know if you're going to share our contacts, but on LinkedIn, anytime you want.
Certainly. And if you wanted, you could share an email as well.
Obviously, my email, you can find me at my EY email, which is my name, because I have a long name, it's kind of hard to explain. It's alessandro.lidano.leonelli, it.ey.com.
Okay, fantastic. Now, as we wrap this up, Alex, do you have any final thoughts you want to share? Anything I didn't ask you think we still need to cover?
Well, a final message that I'd like to launch is that it's always worth believing into something. So really, even if my experience told me that you can lose a lot of effort and a lot of money in your ideas, even if you come out empty out of your tries, it's worth believing in them.
Fantastic. All right, Alex, thank you so much for coming on today. I genuinely do appreciate it.
Thanks to you for the great opportunity. Hope to see you soon, guys. Very best of luck to all of you.
Absolutely. And for everybody else, I'm going to remind you all, don't be just a gamer, be a gamerpreneur.
Absolutely.